Welcome to the audio version of Tales of the Axe by Ross P. Sudi. Shame on the Night. Ashley almost couldn't see the road in front of her as the rain poured heavily against the windshield of her '76 Duster. Diane sat in the passenger side and lowered the radio as the song Don't Fear the Reaper faded. That was one of the worst parties Steve has ever thrown, Diane complained as she fiddled with her wavy blonde hair in the visor mirror. Nothing can top last year's party, Ashley remarked, and he didn't even have a band this time. Yeah, right, Diane said, looking outside of her window into the dark wilderness. It's almost 2 a.m, and I'm bored out of my mind. Relax, we're almost back at the dorm. Sometimes Ashley wondered if she should be more outgoing like Diane. She thought she was attractive, but more in a conservative way, although she might not tease her long brown hair the way Diane did. She liked it straight and simple. Ashley asked herself why Diane had the majority of dates between the two of them. What did Diane have that she didn't? What am I supposed to do there, light fireworks or something? Diane joked. Why don't you give George a call? He should be up. He's lame. You can have him. I don't want your leftovers, Ashley said rudely. And I'm sorry you're bored, but I'm tired. I can't see anything, and if you can find something to do while we drive down this empty road, be my guest. Anything? Diane questioned. Whatever you want, Diane. I want to pick up that hitchhiker, and pointed to the man who was standing on the side of the road. Ashley didn't know how she saw the man as he stood there in the rain. He wore a yellow raincoat and held his thumb up into the air. I don't think so, Ashley said seriously. You said anything. Besides, he looks cute. How can you tell? I can hardly see him in this rain. Please, Ashley, it will be fun. I'll let you borrow my black miniskirt that you keep on nagging me about. Fine, but if he looks dangerous, I'm speeding away. She slowed the car down a few feet away from the man. Diane rolled down the window. Hey, do you need a ride? The man walked quickly over to their car and looked through the window at the two girls. He was a lot cuter than Ashley expected. She cursed Diane in her head for always finding the good-looking ones. Thanks, the man said as they led him into the back seat. I'm surprised that you girls stopped. We like helping out our fellow man, Diane said with a giggle in her voice. It was my idea, Ashley jumped in. Diane gave Ashley a dirty look and then turned her attention to their new passenger. Where are you headed on this dark and stormy night? The train station, if you could, the man said. Not a problem, Ashley continued. What's your name? Charlie, he said, removing his raincoat. Hey, Charlie, I'm Diane, and this loose goose over here is Ashley. Hello, Charlie, Ashley said cheerfully. So, why were you surprised that two sweet girls wanted to give you a ride? I didn't think I would get a chance from anyone, especially with all these roadside killings lately. The two girls looked at each other, knowing that they never heard these rumors. Diane looked back over at Charlie. What killings? There's a lunatic out there, and he only comes out at night. Maybe because his day job is not as flexible as he would like it to be, Diane joked. He hitchhikes up and down this road, Charlie continued. If you were unlucky enough to pick him up, he put a small slash in your tire. Then a few miles down the road, you have to pull over to change it. That's when he strikes. Are you putting us on? Ashley asked, looking at Charlie through the rearview mirror. I wish I was, but it wasn't only hitchhiking. He did other things to lure his victims in. Sometimes he'd wave them down and say that he was just in a car accident, or that he lost his little girl in the woods. The ones that followed him were the ones that never came out alive. What's the worst story that you have heard about this man? Diane asked. There are quite a few of them. Just give us your top 3 that you've heard. Okay, girls, but let me tell you that they're not very pleasant. Charlie leaned closer to the girls and lowered his voice to a creepy tone. One time, he hid in back of a woman's car and waited for her to return. The woman left late from the church where she was playing bingo that night. She drove all the way home, not knowing there was a stranger in the back seat. When she reached her driveway, he popped up and stuck a hunting knife at her throat. He told her that all he wanted was the valuables in the house and he'll leave without hurting anyone. He lied. The crazed man killed her, her husband, and their 2 small kids. "Oh my God!" Ashley covered her mouth as she listened to his terrifying words. "I don't know if I should go on. The stories do get worse," he said, smoothing down the top of his brown, wet hair. "I'm not scared yet," Diane said proudly. "There was a young girl about the same age as both of you," he continued. "She was at a party. She felt too drunk to drive, so she decided to walk home. Not a wise thing to do at 2 o'clock in the morning." "What happened to her?" Ashley asked. "Have you ever seen those old black and white movies where the villain ties up the woman across the railroad tracks?" Both girls answered yes, and Charlie continued. "Very similar. But what he would do was just tie her ankles across one of the tracks. He would stay and watch as the train cut through her legs. From there, he dragged her across the gravel of stones and onto a second track, the express track." "Why would he do that?" Diane asked. "It's not an easy task to move without your feet. Plus, the rest of her legs would start to become numb. He wanted to see if she could escape from the tracks before the next train came." "Did she?" the girls asked. "She was close, but no awards are given out for second place when you're matched up with an express line." "This is a very sick individual," Ashley exclaimed. "No kidding," Diane responded. "That wasn't the worst story," he said, leaning his head back against the seat. "I really don't believe you want to hear the next one. Not only is it gruesome, it's perverted and just plain horrible." "I need to hear it," Diane stated. "Don't ask me why. Something tells me not to, but the more I know, the less I'll go to parties and pick up strange men." "It's not pretty." Charlie cleared his throat and began the story. It involved these 2 college girls that had just left a party. On their way home, they picked up this hitchhiker. They thought it would be a nice thing to do. Our crazed man would ask them their names, what school they were going to, their dorm number, everything. "I would be freaked out if someone asked me all those questions," Ashley said. They didn't think anything of it. But then on Christmas Eve, he broke into their dorm room as they slept peacefully in their beds. He yanked each girl out, tied them down to the floor, and left. "He left them there?" Diane asked. "No one would find the girls until the holiday season was over." "No, he returned the following night. He entered the dorm rooms wearing a ski mask over his head and had a video camera in his hand. For the next 3 nights, he tortured and fondled each student while he taped each perverted stunt." "Oh my God," Ashley whispered out again. "He ransacked their dorm room and found an address book. He made copies of the tape and mailed them to the girls' boyfriends and their family members. But before he left on that last day, he set up a device. He tied a long piece of rope from the door to the ceiling. The rope from the ceiling held 2 axes that hung over the girls' necks. When the police received a call from one of the recipients of the tape, the officers went to check on the girls and went to their dorm room. As they opened the door, the 2 axes plummeted down and chopped off their heads." "I'm getting chills just thinking about it," Ashley stammered. "Where did you get all these details?" "I'm a journalist. Been following this story for months." "The police haven't found him yet?" Diane asked. "No, he's still out there, stalking the night." "When's the last time you wrote about him?" "Last night. I covered a story on this brutal murder of 7 Boy Scouts. They were camping when they got hacked up. I did an interview with their scout leader. He said he was tied up and could only watch as this madman murdered his troops. The killer told him he was kept alive to live with the experience." "That's horrible. He was responsible for all those kids," Diane said. Ashley pulled her car into the train station. Well, it looks like we're here. Thank you, ladies, Charlie said, exiting the car. Maybe we can pick you up again, Ashley continued. I'm sorry, but I'll be out of town until the holidays. Can I look you girls up when I get back? You sure can, Ashley said. We're over at the university. Either ask for Ashley Meehan or Diane Francisco. Okay, I just might do that. Bye, Diane shouted as they drove away. Do you believe those stories? Ashley asked. No, but he was creepy. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was, Diane said. Oh, great, Ashley said and pulled over to the side of the road. What? What are you doing? Diane asked nervously. We have a flat.